Bushra, assalamu alaikum, sister. How are you?
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm doing well. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing very, very well. And Jazakallah for coming on the channel. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm super excited to be here.
Great, great. Yeah, it's an interesting topic that we wanted to explore today. It's called the Muslim marriage crisis. Can you share with our audience a little bit about what the Muslim marriage crisis is, inshallah?
Yeah. So when we posted yesterday about our upcoming live stream, we got a bunch of questions. And I think one of the major ones was, what do you guys mean by the Muslim marriage crisis? So a lot of young Muslims are facing difficulties in finding a suitable spouse and getting married. So that's what we're referring to here.
Right, right. And is it just young Muslims? Because I think one of the gentlemen had said that his wife actually left him after a while. So I think, and he said, I really want to get remarried. And I find that there's, because Islam is it's okay to get divorced in Islam. I think there's a lot of people who are in their early 30s that are also looking to get remarried. And I think they're having a hard time from what I can tell from comments and then also from Muslim friends in their 30s. Yeah. So I don't think it's isolated to just young Muslims necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, like when I say young Muslims, I mean like Muslims in their 20s and 30s, like the 30s are included. But obviously it's not exclusive to them. Like we have divorcees, we have people like who are like in their 40s, 50s. But a huge chunk of them are in their 20s and 30s. But it's not just about them. There's others as well.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I think that there's, widows as well, widowers, things like that are also looking to get remarried, of course, because we want companionship, right? It's a very, very important part of our relationship.
I mean, yeah. Especially as Muslims, because marriage is the only halal way for us to seek companionship. Like we don't have dating or we don't have anything else, right? Like this is the only way for us to find that. So like it makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely. So there's somebody that has mentioned that there was no Muslim marriage crisis. Can you explain a little bit or dispel that myth, inshallah?
Yeah. I mean, people need to understand that just because they're not facing that particular problem doesn't mean that everybody is that fortunate, right? We're not saying everybody is going through it, but there's definitely people out there who are going through it. Like I'm a matchmaker, you're an influencer. Like we talk with people who want to get married all the time.
Yes.
And we get like messages from people all over the world. And this is definitely like who've been trying for not just like some people have been trying for a couple of months and some people have been trying for years on an end. So like it's definitely there. Like count your blessings, say alhamdulillah if you haven't faced that, but like don't assume that everybody is that fortunate,
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good point. And it is a worldwide issue. I mean, I get DMs all the time on Instagram, like, Ali, please, inshallah, help me. They really, I mean, Morocco, Pakistan, Canada.
From all over the world. It's not limited to like one particular country or anything. It's worldwide. It's worldwide.
Yeah, it is a worldwide problem. And some of the causes that, inshallah, we'll be going into in some of our other episodes. Do you want to talk about some of those other, maybe the causes that people are not really aware of, or they're not sure of, like, why is this happening exactly? Do you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's something earlier that I was thinking about earlier today. Like, isn't it interesting how we're more connected than ever before? And yet we're like struggling to get married. So like we have all these social media platforms, we have these marriage apps and websites, like yet we're like struggling to get married.
Right.
And I don't think like never before like would you have like a huge number of Muslims, like this huge number of Muslims that are unmarried in their 20s, 30s or whatever. And I think there's multiple reasons. I would say one of one of them is the liberalization of Islam.
Right.
And then you have these external ideologies like feminism, red pill. I would say the current economy is another huge one.
Right.
And I think one of the problems that both of us noticed was that women are not that forthcoming about wanting to get married. Like the current ratio of men is to women in my matchmaking agency is like 3:1. I think that's another huge one as well.
Wow.
There's cultural reasons, marriage is being delayed. So that's there as well. And I think some people just, give up too easily. Like nobody wants to hear this, but people do give up too easily.
Yeah.
So I think these are some of the most common ones that I've noticed. Anything that you want to add on?
Well, I think social media is, of course, probably one of the biggest things that I've noticed. There's social media is really, it sets unrealistic expectations, you know, keeping up with the Joneses or the Kardashians, if you will. People see those who are in different socioeconomic strata have these big lavish weddings where, you know, alhamdulillah, I was at the Islamic Center at NYU a few weeks ago, and I witnessed a nikah. It was very simple, I mean, there was just the witnesses that were in the community, and alhamdulillah, it was so beautiful and just so, what's the word? I don't want to say simple. Serene. It was so serene. Yeah. It was not this, you know, singing and dancing and all this food and, you know, banquet tables set up.
That's cultural. Like a huge part of that is cultural. And I think the simpler you have your nikah, like the more blessed it is, the more barakah there is in it. And I think another thing about social media is like men and women, like if you don't lower your gaze and you're seeing the heavily edited pictures, you know.
Wow.
And then you come across a regular man or a regular woman. I think that also has an effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Inshallah, we'll be diving into all of these causes, and inshallah, we'll be providing some solutions for everyone here that's watching. And yeah, Jazakallah khair for being here, Bushra. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.